Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Today is Friday, August 7, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Racist Donald Trump continues to attack a black woman. He's now trying to again remove Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, even though the Supreme Court already told him to sit his punk ass down. The job market numbers for July have been released, and they suck. And there were downward revisions for May and June. What happened to this golden economy? And guess what? Black unemployment rates continue to reflect a persistent gap compared to other groups. Economist Morgan Harper will join us. A newly released report highlights the lack of high-quality math education for black kids. We'll talk with the author of Calculated Barriers, examining the history behind math inequities facing black students. Also, Tennessee voters have made their voices heard, and man, Justin Pearson, he whooped some ass last night. We'll tell you who's going to be on the ballot in November. And some sad news. Entertainment journalists Flo Anthony and Miss Dupree from the Times Journal Morning Show, they are now ancestors. We will certainly remember them. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Minus 23,000. No rebound for the July jobs report. Negative 23,000. Unemployment rate drops in July to 4.1% from 4.2% in June, and the same for the expectation. The number of unemployed drops from 7.1 million to 6.9 million. Where are other jobs, Maria? Well, manufacturing, bright spot, better than expected, created 5,000 jobs in the month, but again, a disappointing jobs report.
Oh, Fox News, like, what the hell's going on, y'all? According to today's Bureau of Labor Statistics job report, again, you heard there, we've lost jobs. But not only that, there were downward revisions for the last 2 months as well. Even though unemployment drops a tenth of a point to 4.1%, it's probably because a lot of people simply have just given up. The black unemployment rate dropped slightly to 6.3%. Higher unemployment for black men shot up 6.2%. What about that, all you FBA Trump-loving Negroes? For black women, the unemployment rate dropped to 5.4%. Yeah. Morgan Harper is the Director of Policy and Advocacy at the American Economic Liberties Project. She joins us now. Morgan, it's not just this monthly report, but those downward revisions. We're talking about now, 3 months, more than a loss of more than 100,000 jobs.
Yeah, this is a bad report. And to your clip, Roland, I mean, even Fox News couldn't really spin this. I think they're trying to suggest, like that manufacturing number, for example. Well, the experts at my think tank, American Economic Liberties Project, are kind of telling the truth on that. Maybe 5,000 jobs reported in manufacturing for July, but overall, there's been a 75,000 job decline in manufacturing since the beginning of the Trump administration. And so, that we got to be very, very skeptical of that as if that's the bright spot, well, then, God help us. And I think that is the territory we're in. There's no plan. All of the rebounds and the growth that they said would happen is not showing up in these numbers. And like we've talked about before, the only real source of growth in jobs is in the healthcare sector. That is not a manufacturing boom. I think the other thing that's really interesting, picking up on some of the Black unemployment number, well, one, on the overall unemployment, I think you're right. We have a lot of people that are just not looking for work anymore. And so the labor participation rate is going down and actually is at the lowest since February 2021, just in terms of like fewer people looking for jobs, which then will help to keep unemployment rates overall, the number reported low. But that is not a sign of people are in a good situation. And then when we look at some specific segments of groups, particularly in our Black community, that's what's interesting. I mean, there's actually a report out from the Brookings Institution that's saying that from the age group of 25 to 54, which is prime working ages, Black mothers that have children are starting to work at the lowest rate in about 30 years. And, there could be a lot of reasons behind that. The overall that there aren't being, a lot of jobs being created, childcare, but that is not a good sign when we're looking under the hood in those overall labor participation rates, which are not strong to begin with, but particularly as they're impacting Black women. And so, this is not a good report, impossible to spin to make it seem better. And I think likely a sign of more problems to come, just as we start to look at the overall number of Americans who are either underemployed or unemployed without any hope of thinking they're going to get a job soon.
Yeah, Donald tore apart Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, projected that he somehow would be amazing for the economy. It's going to be the golden era of America. Everyone is going to be so rich. Let's be real clear. The people who are doing well are the billionaires and the uber millionaires. Oh, the economy is great for them.
Yeah, and that's why you see the end of the day, what number was going up? The stock market, right? Why is the stock market going up? The stock market's going up because people don't think as a result of these numbers that the economy is looking very strong and that it's kind of considered a hot economy, which would be the type of thing that then would make the Fed think, okay, we're going to increase interest rates to try to slow things down. They're likely to probably keep them the same. The markets like that, the Wall Street, the financiers kind of like that, because then that means they're going to continue to be able to borrow at cheap rates and the money will keep flowing. That doesn't necessarily mean anything great for the rest of us and the average person. Not to say that, the average person would benefit from higher interest rates, don't get me wrong, but we're continuing to see this disconnect between what the markets and Wall Street is considering a good signal because they are at the upper end of the income bracket, and then the rest of working America is just kind of left to pick up the pieces. Add on top of that prices. I mean, that's the other thing we're seeing in this data, which again has been a trend for a couple of months, that wages are not keeping up with the rate of inflation, meaning, even folks that have jobs, whether it's full-time, part-time, you're earning money, but it is not getting you as much as it used to. And that is another ticking time bomb here as we see gas go up, food go up, and I really encourage people to check out some of the reporting on this Brookings Institution, the state of Black women with children, that, you have women telling their stories of college educated, graduate degrees. They got laid off from a job. They assume they'd be able to get another one in a couple of months. It's not happening. And they have 2 kids and they're looking at having to dip into savings to just make it through every month. So that's people that have advanced degrees,
right,
and not even getting into general population. So there's some really, really serious issues going on here in the economy, and we say it a lot, but elections matter. We need to change course here pretty quickly.
You mentioned food prices. I saw this clip and I thought it was the most insane clip of the week. Watch this.
Over the last year and a half, we're at about 3%, which aligns with the national average. So all in, we're actually aligned with that national average. And you're right, eggs are actually down way more than I think you said 17%. I think they're actually down about 90%. Berries are down, fruits are down, chicken breasts are down, but there are some outliers. One of those is beef. Having said that, our cost today of ground beef is actually down from where it was 6 months ago. So we're trending in the right direction.
Okay, Morgan, this is why I don't leave it right there. Go back to the graphic. This is why. She's literally saying, beef, right, she's like, beef is down 90%. The Fox graphic is showing it's up 12.4%. Then, okay, eggs down 27.9%. That's because they were cheating. That's because they actually were, they were trying to monopolize the market. They got sued and lost in court because they were fixing prices. Milk up 9%. Fruits and vegetables up 5.3%. Tomatoes up 19.5%. Coffee up 12.9%. I'm like, is she a crackhead? Oh my God, things are going great. Things are trending down, and the literal graphic is showing up, 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 up.
Yeah, they forgot to coordinate their numbers there. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, and I love that you highlighted the egg example, Roland, because that's an example of like, what they could be doing. Enforcement, actually protecting rule of law, making sure that, talk about meat packing and meat costs, that is a consolidated industry. There's only 4 companies that control 83% of that industry. Seems like a good thing for the Department of Justice to look into if they weren't so busy just making deals for the president's friends and greenlighting these mergers. So yeah, that is crazy. I was actually kind of nervous to see what you would find to be the funniest clip of the week, but yeah, that's a pretty tame one, I'd say.
Actually, here's probably another one. Joe Lombardo, who is the governor of Nevada. He's going to be facing Democrat Aaron Ford. He's a Kappa, but he's a Texas A&M graduate. We went to A&M together, so he's a good brother. We need to be supporting Aaron Ford for governor. This is probably the second funniest clip. And so check this out.
It's an Ohio connection too, Roland, Aaron Ford. I got to say that.
Aaron Ford?
Went to Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then. But he went to Texas A&M undergrad. Okay, anyway. So check this out. Y'all, listen to this. This is how Republican governors talk, and this is who they care about. Listen.
Quite often when the press and the media runs them down, they think about, he's taking care of his billionaire friends. But those billionaire friends provide jobs. And unless...
Okay, so, Morgan, you're the governor of Nevada. Those billionaire friends provide jobs. Your state has been decimated because Vegas is being destroyed because Donald Trump shit on Canadians, he shit on foreigners, and the rest of the world said, fuck Vegas, we ain't going. I mean, his state is crumbling because it is driven by the Vegas economy, and Donald Trump is destroying his economy. And literally, the Vegas casinos are laying off people, laying off valets, closing down buffets, shutting things down because the tourists aren't coming because of Donald Trump.
Exactly. I mean, leisure, hospitality jobs down. And yeah, if his claim is that billionaires are creating jobs, it's like, okay, where are they? It appears that the Bureau of Labor Statistics can't find them. So they might need to be in touch with their friends in the Trump administration because the numbers are telling a really different story. And yeah, I mean, the only thing that's happening with the billionaires is that they're getting deals that continue to pump up the stock market and make sure those that have get more. And there's a lot of other people, in fact, to the tune of tens of millions now in the US that the official data is showing are really struggling, and probably a lot more than that if we could actually be in touch with everybody to see how they're managing these cost increases.
Alexandra Jackson in our chat says, I'm one of those black women with advanced degrees that had my job eliminated last July. Unemployment ran out in March, been using savings and 401k to pay mortgage and bills.
Crazy. I mean, one, I'm sorry you're going through that, but yes, that is exactly what this Brookings Institution study is showing. I hope, not that it's giving some relief financially, but that you are not alone in this situation. There are millions of people that are finding themselves in this position of having done all the right things. You had your job and then through especially a lot of changes in policy from the administration, companies are feeling, well, weak companies are feeling the pressure to change their practices, get rid of certain jobs, or good companies that just can't manage all the uncertainty that the administration's been injecting into the economy. So, I mean, we've got to tell this story to as many people as we can so folks know what is the what with how much damage this administration is inflicting on all of us, and with some really serious impacts like you're hearing from the commenter.
Last point here. What happened to the big, beautiful bill? I thought that was supposed to just make everything amazing and glorious.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I mean, not only was that also to help the rich friend that is the only thing that Trump cares about in this administration, but even, and we talked about this a little bit last month, even the little bit that was supposed to help the average person short term, a little bit more in your tax refund, that is not a real economic strategy. That is not something that's going to help your viewer get through each month, and not have to go into a 401k, which is supposed to help you with retirement when we have no other strategy for retirement in this country for working people. It's crazy. And I'm glad you mentioned the big, beautiful bill, whatever. The other thing that's coming with that is the healthcare impacts. That is a cliff that is around the corner. Folks have already started to feel it. It's going to get worse. And, and it's so funny, Roland, speaking of Fox, I was on Fox yesterday, actually, and they were going on and on about Abdul Sayed. He's anti-American, using his full name with 16 letters to try to scare people. And they're like, Morgan, don't you agree he's anti-American? It's like, well, I don't. And also, let's focus on what he was actually talking about in that campaign, healthcare costs. That's the thing. I don't care who you are. You know that if you aren't already feeling it, it's coming. Employers who can't afford to give healthcare to their employees anymore because of how much premiums have increased, because they've rolled back all the subsidies for healthcare. And so, it's such BS to even think that anything that is happening right now in the Trump administration is supposed to be useful or improving the lives of anyone, rather than what it is, the biggest racket of all time to enrich his friends.
I just see this clip here. Give me 1 second. I gotta pull this up because I thought I had the dumbest clip of the day. I think this may do it.
It wasn't the ad secretary. That was the funniest, not the dumbest. Okay.
Yeah. That was the funniest. Give me 1 second. I gotta find this. Okay, hold up. I got this. I'm trying to match it up because this is so. Kevin Hassett goes on Fox News, and y'all, he literally. First of all, if you send this idiot out to talk for you, you've got to be dumb. You got to be dumb. They were talking about the jobs numbers. And this is, I love it when they try to do this here. Oh my God, give me 1 second, y'all.
Because he has to make things up.
No, they get it.
I love when they how they decide to just pretend a different reality. That's what they have to do because the reality is bad. And
no. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. All right. I'm gonna play this. When we come back after play this, y'all gotta show Morgan's face. Everybody just listen.
Why? Just try and explain it for us. Why all the job losses?
Right. Well, what happened in this month is that, as you know, all the other indicators were expecting a really strong jobs number. The market was saying 88,000. And when we dug into the details of this, we found that there was a big decline in government workers, something that Stu has been advising us to do forever and ever. And there was also a big decline in hospitality workers around the end of the World Cup. If you take those two things out, it was about 100,000 a month. And I think that's a fair thing to do here. It's like, because that's about.
Okay, so y'all, that's essentially saying, okay, so if you ignore my mortgage and if you ignore my car note, I got $4,000 left over this month. You can't just go, okay, well, if we ignore these things, oh my God, we would have had 100,000 jobs. If you you can't take these things out. You can't just like, well, yeah, remove that. How about this here? if you don't go to war with Iran, then if you don't do stupid tariffs, how about if you don't elect Donald Trump? I mean, that's what's crazy. Let's just, if we only take these two things out, Morgan, it would be amazing.
It would be. That's a wonderful imaginary land. Take us there, where Donald Trump's not president and he's not doing the opposite of good economic policy making. But unfortunately, we are living in the hell that is this man being president, his people and henchmen being willing to lie and try to fool us into the thinking that somehow what they're doing is helping the economy. And like, again, I mean, I really want to come back to the story from the woman who commented is, that's the reality. The reality is we are all living with this BS while they continue to laugh and joke on Fox News and hang out with their rich friends. And it's just so appalling to me. But yeah, Roland, also, I think the other thing about this is like they pretend as if, you know, it's all very passive. And that is something that I think a lot of us kind of buy into, you know, a little bit apart from the Trump administration, that, oh, they're just these natural forces at work. And then sometimes they work out and make a good economy, and sometimes they don't. Free market at play. No. So you're telling me they couldn't foresee that the World Cup was going to end and those jobs would go down, or that firing people from the government would then eventually mean people have fewer jobs, and then that would also have other ripple effects in their lives. Come on, what are we talking about? But the fundamental point that I really want to make sure people take home is the government has the absolute power to change this. So yes, there's a lot of reason to distrust the government. Clearly, this administration is giving us lots of reasons to distrust, but there were reasons before. But the fundamental point is the government does have the power to make sure that the economy is working for us, and we need to make sure that we have people in charge of it with that goal in mind, not to just enrich themselves. And that's what we have right now, is just straight up corruption. And we are going to continue to pay the costs until we can get somebody else in there.
Absolutely. Morgan Harper, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, my panel, Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Candace Kelly, legal analyst and host Take Away with Candace Kelly from South Orange, New Jersey. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi. I love this. This guy posted this here, Matt. He said, if you don't count the games we lost, we won every game. Matt, did you forget to hit something?
I'm here. I said, it's on me. I got it. I said I like your example about the mortgage and the rent, because I think it's just spin, right? You take out the parts you don't like, and then you spin it on the other side. And, you know, I was kind of hoping you and Morgan would talk about this, but just locally this week, they laid off a bunch of people at a local news station talking about AI. We talk about that every time on here, but I'm very concerned about this being a precipitous decline. Or, you know, being the beginning of a decline. Now, I don't know all the economics numbers. I'm not an economist, a brilliant economist like Morgan. But to me, it seems like it's just going to get worse, especially because I'm feeling it at the pump and at the grocery store myself. So it seems to me to be very bad messaging, especially when you have these Democratic candidates who are going further out left and who are winning elections across the country, to be acting as though the sky isn't falling when in fact it is, because people are feeling it at the pump, just like the sister who commented. So there's a clear disharmony between the rhetoric and the reality on the ground. And I don't know how that's going to coalesce to the elections in November, but it seems to me it's a very risky proposition to be acting like we aren't seeing what we're actually seeing and feeling at the pump. And the same with the job losses.
Well, that's because, Candace, when you're making millions of dollars, of course you're not feeling any of this. And when you're a part of a corrupt administration where they're cutting deals, look at the Commerce Secretary, his son involved in a minimum rights deal that could earn him billions of dollars. Hell, they make it off like fat rats.
They sure are. And, you know, when we look at the numbers, what we're seeing is that there are so many people, as like the comment section that you were just reading, we know what our immediate friends and family are saying about this. You know, funny story, I have an old search, you know, for a job like pre-COVID. And, you know, in the past, it would bring up jobs that would fall within my purview with my background, my legal background. No lie, Roland. Now it brings up jobs for Dollar General across the board, which I find very, very indicative of the economy that we are living in, because it doesn't matter how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter whether or not you followed all the rules and went to the right schools. There are so many people that are out of jobs that have done all the things and cannot get all of the things that were promised to them in terms of, we are in America and here are the steps. The other thing is that Donald Trump has been recently saying that there is a boom in the economy right now. And there's a boom because of tariffs. All of that we know when we look at the real numbers that are close to us, close to home, the people that are around us in our warm markets. That is not the truth. As you said, it's something that Fox cannot even dispute. You just have to see the numbers and understand that this is where we are. There is not a booming economy. And this isn't one of those things that I think the president can kind of talk his way out of by saying things over and over again. Because over and over again, people are going to ShopRite and they cannot afford eggs.
Michael?
Yeah, Roland, this is very interesting. So just a few months ago, Donald Trump fired the woman that was the head of the Labor Department, if I remember correctly, because he didn't like the numbers that were coming out. Now, the previous few months, the numbers were in his favor. They were fine. OK, now you have a negative number of 23,000, a job loss of 23,000. Who is he going to fire now? Who is he going to blame now? The other thing is I was hoping to hear this from Morgan or ask Morgan about this. Because I was researching the July 2026 jobs report. It doesn't even cover the full month. Okay, so when Kevin Hesed talked about the World Cup ended July 19th. Kevin Hesed is caught in a lie. If Morgan is still around, look, see, this is the type of information you're not going to get in mainstream media. Because I watched numerous coverage today. Nobody mentioned this. The World Cup ended July 19th. Now, the other thing is that we got the word from the federal judge on Wednesday that the blocking of the removal of the temporary protective status for 350,000 Haitians, that ends. 111,000 Haitians are involved in the healthcare industry. And when we look at the piece from The Guardian from today, about Haitians face arrest and deportation after U.S. removes TPS protections, it talks about how TPS holders contribute $262 billion to the U.S. economy since 2001. Removing these Haitians is going to have a dramatic negative effect on the economy.
Yeah.
So we're going to see this get worse. Go ahead.
No, we're going to talk about that.
We're going to see. Okay, go ahead.
We're going to talk about that in a bit. When you are a black man in Florida who votes for Trump and now you're crying because you might lose your businesses. Folks, I'm going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games. People who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
Let me ask you a question. Why do so many people seem to think they know black men so well? What they think we want, what they think we need. Hell, they even tried to tell us why and how we voted, but never had a conversation with us. Never asked us how we felt, what brings us joy, what makes us angry, what makes us scared. How do we live? That's what this show is about. No translation. because we don't need anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. This will be a show where we bring brothers on that you don't see on every other talk show. Nope. Brothers that are doing work in local communities with black men for black communities. We're going to hear each other and try to understand so perhaps we can move forward together. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. Nope. What we need is each other. No translation, right here on the Black Star Network. Check it out.
Hey, I'm Tasha Cobbs, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. But I need a little filter. I need something. Blow me out. Make me look 35.
Yeah, we know Donald Trump can't stand black people, and he keeps going after black women, okay? The Supreme Court rebuffed this idiot in a 5-4 decision saying he could not fire a Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook, until she had an opportunity to answer these allegations. So what does this fool do? Sends her a letter on Wednesday, okay, telling her that it was, quote, considering removing her from a position. Signed by Dan Scavino, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, gave her 21 days to respond to the previous allegations that she committed mortgage fraud. Now, mind y'all, she ain't been charged with a crime. It's been more than a year, not convicted. Candace, is there any difference today than what it was a few months ago?
Listen, what we know is that this is a man that disregards the Constitution, disregards the government structure, and disregards everything that is on paper. We're in a fascist regime here. So, this is not surprising, but this is also how we know Donald Trump does business. Not following procedure. That is something that this man does. So I'm not surprised that this happened, but I think that this is another eye-opening moment for everybody to look at and understand just how he functions and how he doesn't function, because he's not going to get the support for this. She has not been charged with anything, as you said.
Right.
And this isn't something that's even on the record.
Why? I'm confused, Matt. Why in the hell would I answer your letter about allegations when I ain't been charged? No. If y'all want me, try to charge me.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, I don't disagree. Granted, I don't normally want to invite anybody to charge someone, but I think you're right. And I think, this is all about her being a black woman. We know that, obviously. But what's so extraordinary to me about this is that there are people out in the country who are buying this kind of rhetoric. When you're talking about a woman who is a Spelman College graduate, who got a PhD at Berkeley, who went to Diop University in Senegal, and who went to Oxford. I mean, you are talking the upper echelon of the 1%, and she's an economist, just like Morgan, who came out a brilliant woman. So the only reason you do this is because you're mad you didn't win at the Supreme Court, and you don't want to let it go, and you don't want to look like you can take the L. But that's all this comes down to. And what I think needs to happen as a corollary to the Trump administration, obviously not weaponizing the judicial process, is I think the courts have to start really slapping them when you have situations like Pirro recently, where they're filing indictments and then on the back end saying, oh, sorry, it was a contractor, our bad. You cannot do that. The Department of Justice is losing its credibility. And when the president does things like this and goes after people with no real basis, especially when it's, something where they don't have an intent to defraud, it not only cheapens the Department of Justice, but I think at a certain point it becomes just per se unethical for the lawyers involved. And unless the courts do something about it, there's no disincentive to continuing to weaponize the process. But I hope she beats him down. I hope that if a jury hears this, that they determine that this is just complete BS and she's walked. But I hope they never even indict her, because there's just no basis on it based on my understanding of the reporting.
They're thugs, Michael, pure and simple. And again, they're showing their absolute contempt for black people. And again, what Matt laid out, all of her degrees means nothing, because these white nationalists don't care about any of that. You could have 10 degrees from Harvard, Stanford, Yale combined, and they'll call you DEI.
Yeah, Roland. The highly qualified Dr. Lisa Cook is someone who the Trump administration and MAGA, who are, this is the most unqualified administration we've seen in decades, possibly in history. Dr. Lisa Cook is somebody who they would hate. She is overly qualified. She's more educated than any of them. Okay. So whenever Donald Trump is in trouble, he either attacks Black people, especially Black women, or immigrants. And he sees his polling numbers between 32 and 36%. He sees record low in the polls. Then at the same time, we see these horrible job numbers. And he's trying to look around to see who to blame it on, who to fire, all this, and everybody's pointing at him. So, yeah, and there's nothing to charge her with. So this is why they're trying to send this letter. They can't file charges in court. Just like we talked about last Friday.
Right.
When they go to court, they have to tell the truth. So they can't go to court. So they're going to try to intimidate some more. But this sister's not going for it. She said, come on, charge me if you want to charge me with something.
And the Supreme Court literally said you have to afford her an opportunity to respond to the charges. And you haven't charged
exactly.
her, so she ain't responded. Okay.
Because they can't charge with anything.
It is just people need to understand what's going on. All right, y'all. I saw this story, y'all. It's two stories I saw that I cracked up laughing. All right, first of all, y'all pull a clip of the Houston businessman who voted for Trump. And I just don't know. I mean, he's crying now because they grabbed his woman at the airport. Play it.
After this fiasco,
his fiancée, 45-year-old Venezuelan immigrant Yasmin Suarez-Reyes, was detained by ICE at George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston in late July.
8 ICE agents swarmed Jasmine and detained her, didn't tell us why, and rustled her off into a car.
When you saw that unfold, what went through your mind?
Well, I was just in total disbelief.
According to her immigration lawyer, Suarez-Reyes came to the U.S. legally in 2023 and later applied for asylum, a case that is still ongoing. But her underlying permission to be in the U.S. has lapsed. Some people may say this is what mass deportations look like.
They're not going after the hard guys. That's too difficult. It's easier to pick them up at the airport. You know, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Suarez-Reyes was arrested as part of a recent crackdown by ICE at airports across the country.
ICE is here, help us!
Back in Texas, Gannon says he deeply misses his fiancée, who remains in ICE custody, facing deportation.
Jasmine's good as gold. Love Jasmine. That's it.
We contacted the Department of Homeland Security about this case, but have yet to hear back. Immigrants like Suarez-Reyes would typically not have been targeted for deportation and arrest under prior administrations. But the Trump administration has taken the position that anyone whose immigration status has lapsed is fair game for enforcement.
Hold on. I'm so sorry. I just hate that he going through this. I just really hate that white man, rich white man, voted for the rich white man, and the rich white man thought they were going to be getting them. And now he crying because he ain't got his fiancée. They supposed to be going for them bad guys and not my woman. We told your dumb ass that was going to happen. All these damn fools thought it was them. Oh, it ain't affecting me, no. Now your little punk ass sitting up there crying on CBS. No, I don't feel sorry for your trifling ass. You voted for evil. But he a white man. He a white business dude. This Negro I'm about to show is now crying because he about to lose all his stuff because he ain't got no workers because his punk ass voted for Trump. Roland.
I voted for Donald Trump.
The Chef Creole restaurant in Miami's Little Haiti neighborhood is typically bustling with customers. Not today.
People are scared.
Owner Wilkinson Sajor says it's not just the clientele. After 34 years in business, he's lost his entire management team at 7 locations and will likely have to shut down 2 stores due to the end of temporary protected status.
The end of TPS means for me that my future in the hospitality business is almost going to be non-existent.
On Sunday, federal officers made an immigration arrest outside one of his restaurants.
What would you say to the president that you voted for?
He sold to me that he is a businessman and that he will be making business decisions.
Do you regret your vote?
Yes, I do.
I told y'all I'm trying not to cuss. So I'm going to give y'all 10 seconds to turn y'all TV down so y'all ain't got to hear what I'm about to say. So I'm going to give y'all a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know this motherfucker didn't. This punk ass Negro, your bitch ass, watch Donald Trump say Haitians in Ohio were eating cats and dogs. They denigrated them people. They demanded they actually leave. J.D. Vance and Trump, he did it in a debate. It got debunked. It was a lie. A white woman started and got her dog back, and the whole thing started. And yo punk ass, with a business in Little Haiti, Florida, supported the son of a bitch who trashed your customers. I hope your ass lose every damn restaurant. I hope your ass go bankrupt. You got to be the dumbest son of a bitch to literally vote against your own economic interest. I hate you. Let me tell you, I thought he was gonna be great for business. He ain't great for your business, stupid ass. Y'all, I do not feel sorry for him. I shed no tears for him. I believe he is stupid and ignorant. You slit your own throat. How in the world your business, you call yourself Creole Joe or Creole Chef? The language spoken in Haiti. Your business is in Little Haiti. Donald Trump told us he wanted to get rid of the Haitians, and your dumb ass still voted for him? Man, take your punk ass on. Candace, go on ahead.
And this is what we call piercing the veil of privilege. And both of those gentlemen found out, I wouldn't even say the hard way, because as you said, they knew that that was coming. So why did they vote against? They voted for financial interests and against human interests. And this is a man who we know how he handles businesses. We know that his businesses fail. So why are they all buying into this whole idea that let me vote for Trump because he is a good businessman? We've got decades of records showing that he is not a good businessman. And I don't feel sorry for them either. And look at the difference in the privilege that they have. The white man said, I've got enough money to buy anything, to buy her out of anything. The black man said, what? I got to close down. Au revoir. Right? So two differences in terms of how they voted, what they both thought was going to be, but look at how it played out differently for them. That white man's going to fight it all the way to court. He's got the money. He's ready to pick up his soon-to-be wife, who he said was his driver, right? He can't see. But with the black man, his business is going to close. But both of them got the exact same lesson. And the lesson is, don't vote for Trump. You never should have done it.
I mean, y'all, how dumb can you be, Michael? The man insulted your heritage, insulted your customer base, and your ass, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put that Klan hood on. I'm gonna go ahead and vote for that Klansman. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, cause he a great businessman. Oh, you mean the dude who bankrupted? Do you know how dumb your ass got to be to go broke with a casino? Y'all, the casino is legalized theft. And you got to be really awful to go bankrupt multiple times with casinos. You bought that bullshit Apprentice from Jeff Zucker and NBC, where y'all portrayed Trump as a great businessman. Yo, dumb, he didn't even write his own book, The Art of a Deal. He has been a fraud. He has been awful. I mean, Barbara Walters exposed his ass. But, okay, fine. Let's say you actually believe he's a great businessman, Michael. Michael, how can you call him a great businessman and your ass is about to lose your business voting for his ass? And he don't care about your ass. Trump ain't coming to his restaurant. Trump ain't sending nobody there. Now he's sending the Venezuelans. He's sending the Haitians. All them dumbass Cubans. He like, yeah, y'all gone too. All them fools. Latinos for Trump. Latinos for Trump. Latinos for Trump. Latinos for Trump. And then 6 months later, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this. Oh, all them assalamu alaikum Muslims sitting here voting for him against Kamala Harris, and they in Dearborn, Michigan, praying 5 times to Allah, going, oh my God, we didn't see it. We told you, dumbasses. This crazy, deranged white racist is exactly who he is. What the hell were y'all thinking?
Well, Roland, it's a few things here. So they're stuck on stupid. Many of them are sexist. And the other thing is, when you have somebody like Chef Creole, who says he thought Donald Trump was a good businessman. Donald Trump is the king of the grift. His net worth has increased $2.2 billion approximately, based upon documents that he provided, based upon reporting. It could be a lot more than that. He's a good businessman grifting for himself, not to help other people, not to help you. And before the election, if you look at reporting from Reuters, you look at reporting from CNBC, they said that Donald Trump, they analyzed Donald Trump's economic plan and Kamala Harris. They said Donald Trump would increase the national deficit. They said Donald Trump would drastically hurt the economy because of his immigration plans, because of his ICE raids, okay? And they said Kamala Harris' economic plan would be much better for the country. So when you go vote, not only against your own business interests, the community that you serve, but against black people. Because keep in mind, Donald Trump ran on the campaign of unleashing the police. Who do you think he was going to unleash the police against? Okay, Donald Trump ran on the campaign of anti-DEI, ran on the campaign of attacking African-American history, black history, things like this. So when I see somebody like that, it'll be a little different if this was the first time Donald Trump was running for president, but he left office the first time with a negative job creation of 2.5 million jobs. What type of good businessman is that? So I just have to look at somebody like Chef Creole like he's stuck on stupid. And I would want to ask him, why didn't you vote for Kamala Harris, who had a agenda for African Americans, who had a black male agenda, whose policies were much better? Why didn't you vote for her?
Well, clearly, Matt, the little chef did not recall this clip that went around.
Well, the new book is entitled Surviving at the Top. There are many people who would say failing at the top.
I hope the general public understands how inherently dishonest the press in this country is.
As a member of the press, let me try to clear up some of the things which you say are untrue. You write in your book, my bankers and I worked out a terrific deal that allows me to come out stronger than ever. I see the deal as a great victory, and eventually the rest of the world will too. Being on the verge of bankruptcy, being bailed out by the banks,
Well, you don't have to stay on the
skating on thin ice and almost drowning, that's a businessman to be admired?
You say on the verge of bankruptcy, Barbara, and you talk on the verge, and you listen to what people are saying.
I talk to your bankers.
Well, that's fine. And what do they say? I mean, depending on which banker you're talking to, what do they say? I'm the only one people write about. I mean, they don't write about other people.
You have a little more debt than most people. You're something like $3 billion in debt.
You also have a little more assets than most people.
Okay. You have debts to pay back.
Right.
You have huge loans to pay back. You say the country is in a depression. What makes you think that you can pay back those loans? And further, what your bankers have told us is that the only way you even have a chance is by selling that property out there totally, the plaza.
Well, I don't know what the bankers have said. The plaza is a very valuable property. Everybody told me, oh, you paid too much, you paid too much. Now they're all saying what a great deal he made on the plaza.
You yourself said that you saw your children maybe once a week. You're having a lot of difficulties with your 12-year-old son, Donna. You haven't talked to him since May. Do you believe in fidelity in marriage?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
In the current issue of Vanity Fair, the author Marie Brenner says that you read from Hitler's collected speeches, My New Order, and that these are speeches that you seem to admire. What's your reaction? Do you have this book?
A friend of mine sent me a book, a man who I think is Jewish, although I don't know.
Y'all, Barbara Walters ate his ass up. Matt, it's clear. He's not a great businessman. He sold these people a lie, and these idiots fell for the lie, and now America is paying the price. The economy is not improved. And let me remind everybody, okay? All y'all fools who say, oh my God, the economy was amazing. It was fly. It was awesome. I had some brother go send me an email in 24 talking, matter of fact, let me see what that punk at. He gonna send me an email. Oh, bruh, no, the brothers in Compton, oh, no, we down for Trump. We down for Trump. Our pockets were full when Trump was there. And he's so stupid in sending me that email because what he didn't understand was the economy was awful. The economy was flat out awful when Trump when Obama took over. He saved the damn economy. Some dude named Anthony Williams gonna send me, oh yeah, man, our pockets were full when Trump was there. No, Bush, they jacked the economy up. We had an economic crisis. Obama comes in, has to now repair the economy. So 2009, rough. 2010, rough. The economy begins to rebound 2011. Then it takes off in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. He hands Donald Trump an economy that's on fire, and all of a sudden, all Trump had to do was sit his dumb ass there and don't do nothing, and the economy improves. COVID hits in 2020, and it wrecks us in 2021. This fool doesn't do the right moves. He's making states fight each other for gear and things along those lines. Then, of course, Biden comes in, takes the mess from COVID when the economy tanked, and then turn it around, and this is a fact. The United States economy rebounded faster than any other Western economy. It grew at a faster rate than France, Germany, UK, Canada, Italy, all of those countries. Those were policies of Biden-Harris. And what did America say? Oh, no, we don't like that. Let's go back to the dumbass who blew everything up. And so now guess what? The folk who thought he was going to save it are now whining about beef and gas. He said no wars, he got us in a damn war. This fool is paying 50% more for some battleships than we paid before. This dumbass took a free plane from Qatar, and now it's gonna cost him about $3 to $4 billion to retrofit that sucker because it doesn't have all the advanced weaponry protection. But he wanted to fly in it so bad that he flew in it, and the Secret Service said, hey, Iran gonna blow your ass up. Better get your ass on Air Force One with them damn protection on that damn boy. And you know what he did? Got his punk ass on Air Force One. And you got this silly Negro, Chef Creole, down in Lil Haiti, Miami, vote for Donald Trump, and now your ass on TV crying. I hope he lose all his businesses. I hope he lose his house. I hope he lose his woman. I hope his mama cuss him out and don't invite him to dinner. I hope his friends cuss his ass out. I hope folks drive by his store and yell, hey, dumbass, how you like it now?
I don't know how much I need to add. I mean, I think you covered most of it. I will say, you know, I don't wish misfortune on anyone, but I do think these two people are emblematic.
When you choose evil and you get into bed with evil and you dance with evil, don't complain about, you know what, damn, I didn't realize they were evil.
Well, that's the thing, right, is this misfortune is befalling them because, to your earlier point, I think my co-panelist as well, they thought that they were not going to be affected by this. I mean, because here's the thing. If you vote for Trump in the second Trump administration, you do so with the backdrop of all of the racist, misogynistic, hateful things that has come out of his administration, both when he was in the White House and when he was not the president, and just before that as well. You know, I mean, all the way back to his time in New York before he was ever elected, all the racist things he said and did and has done. So you do that with full knowledge of the person you're electing or voting for, and you do so with the presumption that you are going to be benefited even if other people are detrimented. So I don't feel bad for these people because they voted for exactly what they got. I do have a hint of optimism, though, and I'm hoping that what you get from stories of people like this, especially business people, otherwise successful people, decrying what's happening. I'm hoping that whomever the heir apparent is for the Republicans coming afterward is not going to be able to get these people who vote for him or her following in lockstep again, because they're going to say, hey, Trump lied to me last time. I ended up having all these negative consequences. I think enough of those people en masse change the dynamic of things. And that's what I'm hoping happens in November. And that's what I'm hoping happens in the next presidential cycle. So there's some benefit to this, but I also think you have to really be pretty, avaricious, just straight up greedy in terms of your own interest to vote for somebody who says that you yourself are from a horrible place or you're a part of a horrible people. I mean, Haiti, the way this administration has talked about Haitians and about Haiti, I mean, you got to literally just not care about how this person's talking about you and be more interested in the dollar to vote for him. So that's what we've seen here. But I'm hoping that the optimism that comes from this is that people just completely repudiate the Republicans and whoever's going to be following in his footsteps.
Yeah, bottom line is this here, okay? And I don't give a damn about all. Matt, Candace, Michael, I don't feel sorry for a single damn white farmer who voted for Donald Trump and now they ass broke. I don't feel sorry for a single farmer who now is going bankrupt because they voted for Trump. Because you know why you stupid? Because y'all asses went broke last time. I mean, you literally followed a fool who broke y'all last time. His tariffs the first time screwed y'all. China stopped buying soybeans. Y'all lost everything. They had the taxpayers had to do a $25 billion bailout, and it mostly went to white farmers, and them same dumbasses in Wisconsin, in Iowa, in Illinois, in all of those damn states. They all went and voted for Trump. They said, oh, that's our guy. Because, you know, oh, my goodness, he going to get rid of all them illegals, and he's going to be great for the economy. And you know what he started doing, Candace? He started raiding those damn farms in Nebraska. And the governor of Nebraska was like, hey, hold up. My economy is down 6%, my GDP. You can't keep arresting all these people because we ain't got nobody to work the farms. Oh, but I'm sorry, but y'all want them to go. Where'd y'all want them to go? Why don't y'all go find some of them broke-ass white people in Nebraska to come work y'all land? Because he's not going to work y'all land. You know why? Because them white boys in Mississippi tried that. They were like, damn. Remember we ran the video? They were like, yeah, I mean, these folks here, they ain't good workers. Oh, you know who also said that? That white man with a business in Springfield, Ohio, who said he loved the fact that the Haitians, they came to work, they worked hard, they came early, they stayed late. He said the other folk here, they won't do the work. But now y'all crying. Now y'all crying. Let me say it again. I do not feel sorry for anybody who is losing their job or losing their business because they voted for Trump. Because he literally told you what he was going to do. But oh, you thought it was the other people. You thought you were immune. Oh, you didn't listen to Paul Mooney when he said, I'm sorry, Chef Creole, you don't have the complexion for the protection. And you thought you did. I hope, oh, you know what? And you probably ain't going to get good any unemployment benefits because Florida Governor Ron DeSantis done screwed you there as well. Sorry. Got to go to a break. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Be sure to support the work that we do. And yeah, I was not actually planning to wear this shirt today. I just happened to wear it. Of course, this is from Haiti. Of course, getting their freedom, the first black republic gaining their freedom January 1st, 1804. Yeah, maybe Creole, Chef Creole, need to be reminded of the Haitian Revolution and what they did to the French and what they did to the Spaniards and how those countries attacked them. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to support the work that we do? See, y'all, ain't nobody else going to do what we do. You ain't going to see nobody drop the kind of commentary we do. So support us is critically important. If you want to join via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That's for credit cards as well. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2037-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games, and people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
Let me ask you a question. Why do so many people seem to think they know black men so well? What they think we want, what they think we need. Hell, they even tried to tell us why and how we voted, but never had a conversation with us. Never asked us how we felt, what brings us joy, what makes us angry, what makes us scared. How do we live? That's what this show is about. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. This will be a show where we bring brothers on that you don't see on every other talk show. Nope. Brothers that are doing work in local communities with black men for black communities. We're going to hear each other and try to understand so perhaps we can move forward together. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. Nope. What we need is each other. No translation, right here on the Black Star Network. Check it out.
Watching Roland Unfiltered.
All right, folks, education matters. Bob Moses was one of our freedom fighters. Of course, Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, one of our greatest civil rights leaders. He chose to leave the movement because he felt he did not want to become what he called a civil rights celebrity. What a lot of people don't realize is that Bob Moses then went towards really focusing on African Americans and math. He actually wrote several books, a phenomenal book on that, because he saw the brilliance of math, and he felt that with education, but specifically math, that could be a pathway for the next generation. Now, when you think about that, you go, man, seriously? Yes, math literacy, folks, is an important skill that kids must master in this 21st century. Even with technology advances, the demand for those who can work in the fields increases. Many black children are not getting a high-quality math education, limiting their college access. The Calculated Barriers Report found that although black students represented 15% of the nation's public school enrollment during the 2021-2022 school year, they accounted for just 6% of the students enrolled in advanced placement or AP math courses. Andrea McChristian, the author of the report, is, of course, is with the National Policy Director of Just Equations. She joins us right now. So, okay, Andrea, I am not necessarily the one to talk to you about math because I despised math when I was in school. And it was so funny because I said to my high school teachers and my college professors, I say, listen, I ain't really understanding y'all about algebra and geometry, but I know how to negotiate. I know how to count money. I know how to make money. And I understand how to build wealth. And they thought I was absolutely crazy, and I wasn't lying. And Freeman Hrabowski, of course, longtime university president in Baltimore, my frat, he said, Roland, you simply had the wrong math teachers. He said, because I would have made it exciting. Is that part of the problem? Is part of the problem with African Americans how math is being teaching? Or is it simply that early childhood development when they are, frankly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old? What's going on?
Well, Roland, firstly, thank you so much for having me. And I've had so many conversations with people who say exactly that. I'm not a math person. Math was never really for me. And usually I ask them the follow-up question, why do you think that is? Was it that, to your point, the math education you had didn't speak to you? Did you not see people who were mathematicians or involved in math within your community? Did you not see your culture represented in the math you were taught? And so there are reasons that many black students feel removed from math because intentional policies and practices throughout history, like we outlined in our report, Calculated Barriers, have been intentionally designed to not make black students see themselves as math people, which was not the case under segregated schools that black students had access to during the era of segregation.
Okay. All right. So with that in mind, okay, how do we now change this? What do we do?
I mean, I think your leading in with Bob Moses is so wonderful because we actually opened the report with a Bob Moses quote because of the wonderful work of the Algebra Project. And so you can't really start today, right? You need to understand the history that has led to Black students being removed from quality math education. And so one, obviously we encourage people to read our report, Calculated Barriers, but we encourage parents, community members, family, church members, etc., to talk with the young people in their lives, to ask them about their math education. What do you like? What speaks to you? What would better interest you in terms of what you want to do in college and career? We encourage parents to go to their local school board meetings to testify, to understand what quality math education opportunities are or aren't accessible to their students. States, local education agencies, districts have math policies. We encourage parents and families to read those policies, to understand what math options and coursework are available to their students, to inform their advocacy at the local, the state, and even at the federal level where possible.
Got someone in our chat who said, I found all of this out the hard way. This is Miss Lavender 9. I wanted to become an architect, but didn't have the math skills I needed for the class.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I really wanted to write this report specifically because, again, I want to hammer the fact that Bob Moses really said that math education is a civil rights issue. As I mentioned, under segregation, Black students had access to quality math opportunities. Algebra 1 was in many schools in the segregated South. There were schools, Black schools in North Carolina and Texas, for example, that had Algebra 1 as a graduation requirement, even when the white schools didn't, because those teachers had high expectations for their students. There were classes that started to push for advanced math course opportunities for Black students in North Carolina. We have Dunbar High School right here in DC, where I'm based, that pushed for calculus. It was the first all-Black public high school and was met with resistance from white local officials. And so we've always known that Black students can excel in math when provided with high expectations, with students with teachers that believe in them, that support in them and believe in their brilliance. And that's what we need for all Black students today to make sure they excel in math education for their futures.
You mentioned Dunbar High School, and I remember Bob Woodson. I have a great book about Dunbar High School. And I remember Bob Woodson, who recently died, Black conservative. He often would talk about Dunbar and others and how well we did and how he felt, that it was liberal policies that destroyed our schools and destroyed our community. And when I hear people talking about these things, they need to be reminded of something because I think they don't want to acknowledge this. And this is, I think, what's really important that people forget, Andrea, and that is many of our best and brightest could not work in corporate America. Many of our best and brightest, everyone couldn't work in government jobs. You had Black people who were walking around with PhDs as janitors. Gerald Horne has a book on Claude Barnett and his Associated Negro Press. Claude Barnett was able to take advantage of all of these African Americans who were amazing journalists, but who weren't getting paid any money. And he also tapped into Langston Hughes and others who traveled the world reporting from war zones and whatever. And so he was able to take that content and be able to distribute it. But then guess what happened? When white newspapers began to hire, they began to pay more. What many of us have to understand is that many of those people, the best and brightest of our people, after the Civil Rights Movement, the doors of economic opportunity opened. So all of that amazing brain talent that essentially the only place they could work was the school, those folks begin to go in other places. And so that plays a part in this. And so what you're talking about, I totally agree, but we have to recognize that if you were an African American and you majored in chemistry and science and you got your master's and PhD, the best thing you could largely do is teach. And after 1970, when the doors opened, those folks with that skill set did not stay in teaching.
I mean, Roland, I think you bring up a really important point, right? We need to make sure that we have educators currently who support our students, who our students can see themselves in, to provide, in this case, a quality math education. As a former Head Start teacher myself, I understand the importance of making sure that we have teachers who care about their students, who can create culturally responsive lessons for their students so that the students can access and see themselves in their quality math education. I will say a push for a diverse educator workforce is one of the policy proposals coming out of our reports. And to your point, early when desegregation occurred, there were thousands of teachers who were laid off in the Deep South who had been teaching and had these high expectations for our students in segregated schools. Our students, after desegregation, being integrated into schools, were often met with educators who didn't look like them, who didn't understand their cultural experience. And that's where we started to see this idea of tracking and Black students being subjected to lower expectations come into play. And so to both then and today, I fully agree that a diverse educator workforce that loves teaching, loves our students, values our students and the brilliance of our students, and wants to provide them with culturally responsive instruction is critical to the success of their quality math education.
Last question before I go to the panel on that particular point. Also, the education system simply has to recognize that it is now competing. It is market forces. You are competing for talent. My oldest sister was a reading specialist at a school. My youngest sister, art instructor. My brother, who runs our family catering business, executive chef, was teaching culinary arts. And here he is. He goes into this particular school. Okay, his skill set way above these teachers. They have a theoretical book understanding of cooking and culinary arts when his is practical. And so they're like, oh my God, killing it. They came here to DC, won competition, winning national awards. And then when it came to time to say, well, who are we going to put over the department? Well, no, this person has more experience, more years in the system, and because they have a certain degree, we're going to put them over it. You're like, what are you talking about? Has she won any awards? So the system also, if we're talking about we want a lot of our best and brightest to be in classrooms, the education system can't say, which what they've done for the last 40 plus years is, oh no, you're going to make a small salary, and then your payoff is going to be your pension 30 years from now. This generation ain't falling for that, Andrea.
I mean, to your point, Roland, there needs to be a massive transformation of our math education system in America. We need to look at the traditional path that we've always advocated for, and math specifically, that's over 100 years old, is no longer working for our students. Like you mentioned, they're in a new digital world. We have AI, we have ChatGPT. Managers and businesses are wanting digital literate incoming employees. And so our math education has to adapt to that. We have to look at statistics, computer science, making sure the students understand the technology that they're interacting with to ensure they're prepared for college and career and to participate in our democracy.
All right, let's go to my panel. Michael swears he was great at math in school. There's literally no evidence to prove that. So Michael, go ahead with your question.
I mean, I was pretty good at math. My mother was a math teacher, so she taught elementary school math. So, I did pretty well. And I took algebra, geometry, trigonometry, pre-calculus in high school, Cass Technical High School. So I did pretty well. Excellent at chemistry also, and biology. But my question is, my mother taught academic games, okay? And there were academic game competitions like on the weekend. So I know a lot of times math can be perplexing to children. It could seem more complicated than it is oftentimes, but the children loved academic games. Okay. So I was wondering, is that an aspect that you incorporate? I can't remember if you said it or not. I read a lot today, but is that an aspect that you incorporate into trying to simplify math for African-American children, get more of them involved, especially in advanced math, academic games?
Sure. I mean, I think to your point, and it's so wonderful that your mother was a math instructor, all students are more interested in things that excite them, right? Like if there is
Yes.
a topic I'm interested in as a student, if there's a food I like that is incorporated into a specific class, I'm going to want more of it. And so what we have advocated for in Calculated Barriers and the work we do at Just Equations is that students need to see themselves in their math education. So example, you lifted up with the academic games, I'll give you another example. My colleague, Shakia Bland, is our Director of Educational Partnerships, is a former math instructor. She realized that the students in her community didn't have access to quality food. They were in a food desert, right? And so they walked around their neighborhood and mapped out all the food deserts in their community, mapped out the nearest grocery stores, and drew models of how they could better their community by bringing more grocery stores. So they used math, right, to understand the statistical analysis, the modeling, but they also used their own experiences, right? They knew they wanted healthy groceries. They knew they wanted better food options. And so that was a culturally responsive lesson, right? And so we need to make sure that we're having more culturally responsive lessons, which is critical to making sure we have a diverse educator workforce, right? So that, to your point, if I'm interested in this lesson, right? Oh, okay, this is something that excites me. Not only am I going to want to continue math, continue hopefully throughout high school, I might be interested in a STEM career or other career I might not have even thought possible because I didn't see myself as a math person or in the lessons that we were being taught.
Candace.
All right, thank you.
You really kind of answered my question in terms of what are the culturally sensitive approaches, just like Bob Moses had in his algebra project, to try to make sure that the students had real life experiences and could relate them to math. And I was going to ask you what was one of the programs that was out there that you could tout to say that was doing a good job. And you already mentioned one of them. I will say that, all of my aunts and uncles and my mom, dad, all of them were in education, and so am I. And when I was in high school, math was a problem. So I got a tutor, but the tutor was someone that was, in my parents' graduating class at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And that exposure to him and just sitting to him to a point where I was doing so well, they thought I cheated. They called me in because I started getting hundreds, but that exposure to someone who did math and just being up close and personal and understanding, oh, I can do this. I think I was just kind of lost in the fray of the classroom. But in other areas, I really exceeded and excelled. But that exposure to someone who was doing math was a very, very big deal for me and helped me see the light in that arena.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. One, there are a lot of organizations doing wonderful work to make sure that students, Black students in particular, have access to that quality math education. So the Algebra Project is one of our dear partners, currently led by Benjamin Moynihan, who is doing this work in a number of jurisdictions to specifically make sure that students have access to early Algebra 1 in middle school, but more broadly have a love of math. In addition, we work with the Benjamin Banneker Association, which is specifically targeted to bring together educators to support Black students in excelling in math, as well as the National Association of Mathematicians. Jurisdictions are also doing wonderful and unique things to get students involved in math. Here in DC, again, where I'm based, there's been a lot of work around the DC Math Hub and the DC Math Initiative to pour millions of dollars into providing students with math tutoring, math centers, and other activities so they can develop a love of math as early as possible so that they continue that into adulthood. So I think, one, there are a lot of organizations doing this work and a lot of jurisdictions that are trying to think of innovative and dynamic ways to get students, particularly Black students, interested in a love of math as early on as possible.
Matt?
Yeah, so I think my great academic regret is that I'm not better at math and I didn't focus more on it. So, I preach it to my children, so I'm really glad to have this conversation. But I wanted to ask, what have you found is the external thing? So something like music, or kind of like Michael's example with the games, that you find has really energized students, maybe involvement in math or desire to learn math. And I ask that because as a musician, I know several musicians who are very, very good at mathematics because of the kind of interplay between those two. And I have a college friend who's in DC, who goes by the cool teacher, Naisha Coleman, who has been a great tutor for years with students using math in her raps and teaching them through raps. So I'm interested in seeing what you've seen help students become involved. Is it things like music or other artistic nexuses that kind of go along with that you found to be successful?
Yeah, I love this question. This is something I was actually talking about with my younger cousins the other day, is that what I feel has helped the message of quality math education as a civil rights issue really sing is to connect math to real world examples. So we were talking before about AI, ChatGPT, students engaging with TikTok, Snapchat, different digital platforms. That's math, right? You have to have a certain digital literacy to interact and understand with these things. In addition, if you're doing ranked choice voting, if you're looking at understanding the redistricting process, which we've seen at the Supremes over the past few years, you have to understand how math works because redistricting is about drawing maps. So you have to look at statistics to see how different resources can impact your communities, like social determinants of health, or how much money is going to city budgets. And so when I lift up real world examples to the point you just made about music, timing, counts, is math that's tied to numeracy. Making that connection kind of demystifies it and has people who, when you started the conversation, said, I'm not a math person at all, leaving by the end to understand all the ways that they interact with math every single day.
All right, then. So, first of all, y'all, the book I was referencing, go to my iPad, it's called Radical Equations, Civil Rights from Mississippi to the Algebra Project. Robert P. Moses and Charles E. Cobb Jr. Y'all, go to my iPad. Come on. Come on. Switch. Let's go. Thank you. All right, the book, Radical Equations, Civil Rights from Mississippi to the Algebra Project. Okay? Now, if you want to read the report that Andrea talked about, folks, it's right here, Calculated Barriers, Examining the History Behind Math Inequities Facing Black Students. Wesley and Keenan put this link on blackstarnetwork.com. And folks, if y'all go to blackstarnetwork.com, and you'll be able to access this 34-page report. And of course, I'll be remiss if I didn't shout out my mama's sister, Aunt Pam. She was a math teacher in Houston Independent School District for a very long time. But that was after I left. I had literally, math did not click with me at all. But I'm a hell of a negotiator and can count some money. All right, Andrea, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, y'all, we come back. If y'all want to see one of the most unbelievable examples of step and fetch it, I got it for you, courtesy of Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me get personal for a second. My mom had questions about her Medicare, so she called Chapter, a Medicare advisory company, and she texted me right after saying it's a great benefit. It was easy. A real person walked her through the whole thing, and now she understands better what's going on. But it's not just her. A woman in Yonkers wrote in saying the process was so simple, the enrollment was easy, and she was so glad she called. Then there's Marilyn, 90 years old, in Florida, living on Social Security. Her premium climbed every single year north of $400 a month for coverage she could barely afford anymore. So what does she do? She called Chapter. They found her the same top-tier coverage for hundreds of dollars less. 90 years old, and finally somebody in her corner. I hear stories like that again and again from our community. The Medicare system was not built to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans. Yet Chapter's advisors are independent and honest, the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. They're focused on one thing, what actually works for you. If you're already in the right plan, they'll tell you. No games. People who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100 a year. All it takes is 20 minutes. You talk to a real person, and it's completely free help. So call Chapter at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281. That's Chapter.
Let me ask you a question. Why do so many people seem to think they know black men so well? What they think we want, what they think we need. Hell, they even tried to tell us why and how we voted, but never had a conversation with us. Never asked us how we felt, what brings us joy, what makes us angry, what makes us scared. How do we live? That's what this show is about. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. This will be a show where we bring brothers on that you don't see on every other talk show. Nope. Brothers that are doing work in local communities with black men for black communities. We're going to hear each other and try to understand so perhaps we can move forward together. No translation, because we don't need anybody speaking for us. Nope. What we need is each other. No translation, right here on the Black Star Network. Check it out.
my name is Mark Curry, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We're doing an interview, motherfucker.
I really don't know what you have to do to wake up in the morning and apply a massive amount of lip balm in order to kiss the chapped ass of Donald Trump. Now, let me be clear. I understand this idea that you're Republican and you've got to support your fellow Republican. What I do not understand is how you can be South Carolina Republican Senator Tim Scott and go on Fox News with a straight face and have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to form your lips and say that Donald Trump believes in ethics.
About President Trump, let's remind ourselves President Trump has done something no other president in the history of our country said yes to, which is complying to the ethics strategy and standard for all elected officials. We've never had a president ever say yes to that issue, that question. So it's good news. We're making progress there.
Run that back.
About President Trump, let's remind ourselves President Trump has done something no other president in the history of our country said yes to, which is complying to the ethics strategy and standard for all elected officials. We've never had a president ever say yes to that issue, that question. So it's good news. We're making progress there.
I cannot at this moment remember the movie. But Matt, there was a line in the movie that sticks out and it's just resting in my brain. And the line was, "That's some strong shit you smoking."
Yeah. I mean, ethics, rules, and what's right and wrong, and Trump is supposed to be a person following them. You talked about it earlier in the show about the receipt of the plane from Qatar. It was a $400 million plane, and your family's made $2 billion since you've come back to the presidency. I mean, the corruption is rampant. We've talked about it on the show. We've run it down earlier today. That is per se not ethical. So this is truly Tim Scott just kissing ass. That's all it is, because there is certainly no basis to make this claim about Trump or anybody in his orbit, because we are seeing full-scale Tammany Hall politics in 2026, where they have found a way to monetize the offices and the spoil system, as we've talked about, and that is per se not ethical. So he is about as far away from ethics as a person can be, and Tim Scott knows that, but this is about currying favor and trying to be, the next guy in line, I guess, even though they've passed over, 10, 15 times at this time, if you're Tim Scott?
No, actually, I think what it is, Candace, is since Chief Ass Kisser from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, has died, Tim Scott said, well, let me pucker up. I might as well take his place.
There's an open position. Yes, there is. But ethics, the war, ethics, January 6th, ethics, immigration, ethics, the government and, overthrowing the Constitution bit by bit. Listen, this is a bill that has to do with cryptocurrency. At the end of the day, it's getting a lot of, pushback, because the Department of Justice is ultimately going to have to oversee, any of these ethics decisions that Donald Trump ultimately makes. And people do not want that. They do not trust the system. So at this point, he is trying to get people to support a bill that he introduced last year. And that's what all of this is about. I mean, I think Matt put it a little more clearly. He's just kissing ass to get what he wants. But what he wants is to get this bill passed. And that's what it boils down to. So that's why he's on Fox saying any of this, because really, are we talking about ethics and all the things that we've talked about in this show? We know that's nonsensical. We know that this is just a way that, governance happens and that bills are passed. And this is what we see. But Tim Scott happens to be the mouthpiece for this. As you said, we know what was on his mouth, but that position is open and he has filled it.
Michael, here is the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick touting Vulcan Elements, a magnet company, by the way, Donald Trump Jr. has a economic interest in.
Vulcan Elements, $1.4 billion, also to build right here in the United States.
So we know what this is all about. Donald Trump stands in front, hey guys, y'all should buy Teslas. He just bought the stock. Buy Dell computers. Oh, he bought stock. Hey, invest in Microsoft. He bought stock. Donald Trump is the most unethical, corrupt individual that has ever occupied the White House. He makes Tammany Hall look like pre-K.
Yeah, Roland, it goes back to the previous segment when we talked about Chef Creole, and I talked about Donald Trump being the master of the grift. Net worth increased $2.2 billion since he's been back in office. And I'm glad you played that clip of the modern day Isaiah T. Montgomery, Tim Scott, little Timmy. Because when Tim Scott talks about Donald Trump is complying to the ethics strategy and standard for all elected officials, who's going to apply that ethics standard to Donald Trump? Is it going to be Todd Blanche? Soon to be Attorney General Todd Blanche? Is that who's going to apply the ethics standard to Donald Trump? So this is Tim Scott, campaigning for votes for re-election. This is nonsense. Who's going to hold Donald Trump accountable to the ethics standard? Donald Trump is the same guy. Remember when he took the oath of office for the second term as presidency? He didn't put his hand on the Bible. Maybe he thought the Bible was going to catch on fire or something like that. And you want to talk about ethics and Donald Trump? Come on. But these are the type of skin and grinning, tap dancing, step and fetch it Negroes that the GOP loves. These are the ones they pat on the head, Roland. These are the ones they pat on the head. And you have to ask yourself this question now. Tim Scott is the one who talks about how he went in, I think he said, one generation from the cotton fields to the Senate, things like this. What did they offer you for you to sell your soul like that?
Hey,
what did they offer you for you to go out and continue to humiliate yourself like that?
I have no idea what Polar Tink doing. All right, y'all. Last night, there were elections last night in Tennessee, and man, it was pretty intense. Let's walk through those. Crazy, deranged, nutcase U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn. She outbeat two other Democrats to win the Republican gubernatorial nomination. She's going to face Democrat Jerry Green. In the U.S. Senate race, Democrat Marquita Bradshaw is going to be facing off against Republican incumbent Bill Hagerty. U.S. House District 4, Republican Scott DeJarlis will go head-to-head against Democrat Victoria Broderick. District 5, Republican Charlie Hatcher will face Democrat Chaz Mulder, the mayor of a small town there. District 6, Republican Johnny Garrett and Democrat Mike Crowley will compete. In District 7, Republican Matt Van Epps runs against Darton Copeland. Republican Brent Taylor and Democrat Justin Pearson will go toe-to-toe in the 9th District. What happened there was, that was pretty interesting because London Lamar, state official, she actually was running. She was ripping Pearson all throughout the campaign, saying all he has done is run his mouth in the State House while she has passed bills. But he mollywopped her last night in Democratic primary. So clearly the voters in Memphis are there with him. This is Pearson speaking last night. This is the low energy dude he's going to be facing.
He also said that he was endorsing my candidacy because of my fight against illegal immigration. And I told him, I said, Mr. President, I like Tennessee the way I like my sweet tea, and that's with a lot of ice.
Well, I like my sweet tea to be brown, so I'm down with Justin Pearson. All right. Boy, I tell you, we'll be watching all of this here. Folks, this story is crazy. It's going to be our last story before we go. A black man spent 42 years in prison in Louisiana. The courts threw out his conviction after a prosecutor admitted to withholding evidence, key DNA evidence, that proved his innocence. He got released in 2019. He filed a compensatory claim, so he's owed about $480,000. Yet the Louisiana Attorney General, this MAGA Attorney General, Liz Morrell, is blocking his compensation, claiming that, oh no, he actually did it. She's been trying to reinstate his manslaughter charge, saying he's still guilty despite the DNA. A hearing of the case is scheduled for Monday in the New Orleans District Court. Brooks' case is one of 22 compensation claims that Morrell is opposing. I mean, how evil do you have to be, Candace, to where it's there? No, you did it. No, we ain't give you the $500,000. 42 years in prison.
By the way, that's a little money for 42 years. I mean, what he's asking for is not even a lot when you think about what other people have gotten and what he has gone through. 42 years, like you said. Now, you mentioned the Attorney General, and she said that there has to be clear and convincing evidence. Number one, he got out, right? I mean, he served his time, but he has presented evidence. He has presented 11 or 12 alibis. The DNA evidence speaks for itself. Mainly, though, the prosecutors held back evidence in the court of law, going against the Brady rule, where you have to show evidence to the other side that you have, and the prosecutors suppressed that. That in and of itself is a violation of his constitutional rights. There are so many different things going on here. Even procedurally, that in and of itself should have overturned his conviction that he had. So you have to be pretty evil to just put this man in jail, not give him the money that's due to him after he served his time, and you are the Attorney General, and you're not even going to follow the law. You have to be pretty evil, and you have to maybe not even like your law license or like your job, because that is something that is unacceptable, and people lose their jobs because of that. She's despicable, Matt.
Well, she's okay with the courts when the courts say that she can't be prosecuted, but she's not okay when the courts when they say that this is a wrongful conviction. Come next door to the state of Texas and the criminal discovery law that I follow every day, that I'm a part of every day when I represent somebody in a criminal case, the Michael Morton Act. Michael Morton was incarcerated for 25 years for a murder he didn't commit. The state of Texas paid him $2 million and an $80,000 annual annuity, and I think some other college benefits, because he sat in jail because the prosecutors in Williamson County hid evidence as to a person who was going through his neighborhood who likely killed his wife, and hid the DNA evidence. The point is, when you've got evidence of an exoneration, the state should be in favor of that, not only because of the due process concerns, not only because of the constitutional protections, not only because of the human element. The state should be in support of that, because when you do the right thing with a wrongful conviction, I think it gives people broader assurance, is that when there is a conviction that comes forward, you can trust that the state has done the right thing. They've jumped through all the hoops. So for her to push back on this is politically what I see. This is about not wanting to look soft, not wanting to look like politically you're behind somebody who's really a hardened criminal being released into the community. But the problem is, You know how hard it is to get a conviction overturned? It is not an easy thing. The lawyers that do this work do extraordinary work, and it usually takes a long time, and you got to find old evidence, and you got to get an investigator, and they've got to interview somebody from 40 years ago, all these different things to prove the Brady violation, to prove the discovery violation. And once you climb that mountain, for the AG to say, nah, he still did it, we're not going to give him a piddly $480,000, despite the fact that he was in prison for 4 decades for a crime he didn't commit, is abhorrent. It is truly evil. And that's the kind of thing that just chaps my hide, because I represent people every day, and it is so easy for a prosecutor to cheat. And if a prosecutor cheats and puts you in prison for 42 years, nobody with any kind of morals or ethics should be pushing back against you getting compensated. So Liz Murrow is, I think, evil for this.
Michael.
Yeah, Roland, you know, Louisiana has a long history of injustices against African Americans. It's just a continuation of this. That's where Angola prison is as well. People look up Angola prison. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that she's MAGA. And here's a situation where, you know, his innocence was proven, but she wants to continue to persecute him. This reminds me of Donald Trump with the Central Park Five. After the evidence came out to prove that they didn't do it, Donald Trump wanted to go with the original prosecutor and said, no, they're still guilty. They still did it. So this is how a lot of these white supremacists act. But keep in mind, Attorney General, that position is an elected position. This is the consequences of elections as well. So hopefully, you know, when her term it comes for re-election, you know, they vote her out of office in Louisiana.
All right, y'all, this will be the last story. In Pittsburgh, 2 black boys with a company called Steel City Twins trying to sell some lemonade. Well, as white racist, he didn't particularly like it. Roll it. Okay, we don't have the lemonade bite. No, it's supposed to be 1 minute, 28-second video. It's absolutely crazy. Again, two black boys. It's crazy. 2 black boys just sitting out trying to sell some lemonade. And they actually get harassed by a white man for no reason whatsoever. It's lemonade. I pass kids in my neighborhood, other neighborhoods, who are on the side of the street who are selling lemonade. I was playing on the golf course the other day, and some kids, they were selling golf balls because the hole we were on had a whole bunch of water. Trust me, it was some people who were going to need them. They're selling lemonade. We do these stories all the time, and I've had people hit me and they say, why are you running these stories? Because I need people to understand the reality of what it means to be black. We can't even just do what we want to do in this country. Go.
Are you just want to keep harassing us?
I hope your kids make it into a better situation.
I think they're in a very well situation.
I don't think so. You keep the money and make them run a fake lemonade stand.
Okay, if that's how you feel about it, I can't change it, but they're just out here spreading peace.
It's okay. Well, as long as you're here.
Okay.
Good luck exploiting your kids.
Good
kids, luck. I don't hate you because of your skin color, like your mom's assuming. I think everyone's equal, but you're being exploited at the end of the day.
I think you're still harassing us.
You can call it harassment. I call it a child safety violation.
It is harassment.
Call the cops if you think it's harassment.
You already called the cops.
I hung up because I saw you.
Okay.
I was just making sure you were in the vicinity and didn't leave your kids in the middle of the hookah.
Okay.
Why don't you go to the hookah store and sit there and use the money that you collect?
Why don't you keep harassing black children and black people?
I don't. It's their children.
That's what you're doing.
Play the race card.
You think you're not traumatizing them?
Maybe they'll...
You think you're not traumatizing them?
Maybe they'll, break free from you. And, I have abusive parents, too. My dad's not the best. Maybe they'll learn...
Well, I hope that you can find God and He can help you deal with that trauma that you have.
I don't think...
Well, I think you should. He can help you a lot.
Only religious people would do this to their kids, so that makes sense that you do.
I mean, we just love God and we're trying to spread His word.
God, quit taking advantage of your kids.
It's okay.
I stopped 10 people from detonating.
Cool. Thank you.
How is he taking advantage of his kids, man? How is he taking advantage of the kids? How about you mind your own damn business?
Yeah, although I'll tell you, this is weird to me because I don't see him harassing the kids. I do see their potential being traumatizing to the kids. Don't get me wrong. But it sounds like he's harassing her, which I think is still problematic. Don't get me wrong. But I would like to know what precipitated this, because this is weird, right? I mean, it appears like he's harassing them based on the caption, but that is not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing him harass her, and I would be interested in seeing what he thought he saw to justify that. Now, yeah, full stop. He shouldn't be harassing them. He shouldn't be bothering this lady. It's not any of his business. But it's just very strange to me more than it is him harassing the kids. I don't see him harassing the kids. I do see him doing something that will likely be traumatic to the kids because of how he's talking to their mother. But I don't know if this is misogynoir or if it's something else. But it's very strange to me because it just seems to be out of context a little bit.
What it is, Michael, is white folks mind your own business.
Yeah, I saw the video earlier, and I was trying to figure out, I was looking at some of the other videos on their Instagram page, exploiting children. I'm not exactly sure where he's coming from, that angle, and then fake lemonade stand. Okay, if they're selling lemonade, what have you. Now, usually, if it was white children, they say, oh, you're teaching them entrepreneurship.
Boom.
With these African-American children, I don't understand how it turns into exploiting children and all this. And then, I mean, this is just nonsensical. But yeah, a lot of people just need to mind their own business.
Candace.
Okay, so I'm kind of with Matt on this. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And certainly, listen, you cannot, if someone is selling lemonade, they harass you, whether it's the mother or whether it's the kid, go to the police, you file a report, that's unacceptable. With the same token, I know that online there have been a lot of reports, not that again, that this, justifies what he did, but there was some kind of dispute between the mother and father and money that was being collected for these kids. So I'm not sure where this video fell and whether or not he said he has heard about this dispute between the mother and father, because from what I understand online, and maybe some of the other panelists saw this, but she had made posts that she was in an abusive situation and that money that her husband or ex-husband was collecting in the name of the lemonade stand had nothing to do with her and was a farce. And so I think there's a lot more going on here. And like Matt said, you see it and it feels a little different than just a regular harassment, which again is unacceptable all over. But this brought out behind the scenes stories that I think that motivated this man to say, look, from what I've been reading online, there's something's going on here that is fishy. Money's being collected on these kids' behalf to the father. And you've said that you're in an abusive situation. And now you've got these kids here. And it seems to culminate that they're out all day selling lemonade. So there's money involved. There's a domestic violence relationship potentially involved. So I think that we are going to hear more about this based upon what I saw online.
Look, when the kids tell you move on, doggone move on. Okay, just go on, keep moving. Just go on right ahead. Okay, move on. All right, y'all, that's it for us. I certainly appreciate it. Matt, Candace, Michael, certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us on today's show. Don't forget, folks, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Goals to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That goes to, of course, this show and the other shows that we have here. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here. This is for credit cards as well. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com for ways to give. Now, checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Start Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV. If you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag, please go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, shopblackstarnetwork.com. And yes, if you go to our site, y'all can get the newest shirt. Roland Martin Unfiltered presents The Flamethrower, starring Robert Patillo. If y'all did not see the segment the other day, absolutely hilarious, so go ahead and check it out. But go ahead and get that shirt. Y'all, it is available right there at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Support the black-owned businesses that we have as well right there at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Go to the marketplace segment. All of these businesses you see right here are available on shopblackstarnetwork.com. Folks, check it out. Download the app, Fanbase, and Follow me at Roland S. Martin. Yo, tomorrow I will be in Los Angeles. We the People Coalition for the Gospel Concert and panel engagement. I'll be joined by Norm Nixon, Tracy Jones, Pastor Jeremy Nixon, and Yolanda Adams is going to perform. We're going to be the panel is 4:30 to 6:30, concert 6:30 to 7:30. We're going to be at the Center for Hope, Los Angeles, 9550 Crenshaw Boulevard, Building 2. And so look forward to be there again in Los Angeles. Monday through Friday next week, I'm in Atlanta, National Association of Black Journalists National Convention. I will be there. I'm the Vice President Digital on the board. And so I'll be broadcasting from there all week. So look forward to that. Folks, y'all have an absolutely fabulous weekend. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!